Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Karina Jenkins, and I am the Graduate Program Manager for the Professional Master's Programs at Shady Grove within the Department of Professional Studies. I want to welcome you to UMBC's Community Leadership Virtual Open House. We hope that you enjoy the presentation, and without further ado, I introduce you to the Graduate Program Director, Dr. Sally Scott.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Sonia, and I know that Karina said that you should mute yourself, but I'm thinking with such a small group of us, if I say something and you just a question pops to mind, I'd feel free to jump in. What I'm going to do is share my screen and go through a slideshow, and then we will either along the way you can ask questions or you can hold them till the end, whatever works best for you. So here is just a link to our website, which is really, I think, a good resource to use if you're checking out the program. A lot of the information that we share tonight is also on the website, and there's some additional information as well. So you've met me, the program director. Another important person in the program is Renee Eisenhuth. She's the graduate program coordinator, and she's really the expert on a lot of the logistical and administrative aspects of the program. So during the application process, if you decide to apply, she can be very helpful if you run into any bumps or questions along the way. So our program, which started up in the fall of 2019 and is just about to have its first graduates, was designed to prepare aspiring and practicing leaders with the skills and experience needed to enact transformative social change. So there's a lot packed in there. What's important, I think, is that we have people who are already in leadership positions, and we have people who want to achieve leadership positions. So we want people with all kinds of experience in our program. Levels of work experience, types of work experience. We have people who are coming out of community organizations. We have people who are coming out of the military or the government. So we really welcome that diversity because they bring that to the classroom and help educate each other. What I'm going to do now is shift over to a short video that was made in the beginning of the program about two of our students. So I think it's valuable to hear what our students have to say.
The Community Leadership Program offers so many opportunities to extend beyond boundaries and impact the lives of so many people. UMBC is in our community, it's visible, they are involved, the staff is involved, the faculty is involved in the community, and that really makes a difference for an education, for this type of education in particular.
I think what inspires me most about the Community Leadership Program is the partnerships that UMBC has with the community that I want to service.
The Community Leadership Program at UMBC, we're expecting big things out of, and that's mainly because of Baltimore has a rich history in social change, and we're looking to really continue that history and to foster some leadership, some development in that area.
Once I graduate, I envision creating a nonprofit that focuses on physical, fiscal, and mental wellness and bringing those resources to underprivileged communities in Baltimore.
We're looking for the Community Leadership Program to embrace that commitment to social change and create the next generation of change agents.
I want to be able to serve people and help them to feel worthwhile and like they have a purpose. It gives me purpose.
And I'll just mention that Kieran, who was the second student profiled in that video, is going to be our first master's graduate this spring. She's really stayed very focused and done a wonderful job in the program, as all of our students have done. But of course, with COVID, some folks have been slowed down by that, but she kept up a strong pace. So you mentioned being interested in the certificate. So I'll talk about both Masters of Professional Studies and the Post-Baccalaureate certificate. One is 15 credits, the certificate. The other is 30. If you do the certificate and decide that you want to do the master's, all of those credits apply to the master's. In fact, the certificate students and the master's students are all in the same classes. It's just that the master's students do additional courses. So there's no real distinction between the two in our core courses. They're very much together. So a Master's of Professional Studies is a recognized credential, professional credential. I think what distinguishes it from some purely academic programs is that we're, in addition to the academic depth that we're helping our students achieve, we're offering specialized skills and hands-on learning, in our case, in the community with community partnerships. And I'll probably talk a little bit more about that later. And the goal is really to help our students either make a shift if they're coming from out of a different field and want to enter into community-oriented work, or to deepen their knowledge and their understanding if they're already in the field, and to provide that credential which can help them advance professionally. So I think one of the real strengths is that our students, what brings them together within their diversity is this commitment. They really want to, I think Laura said it, and Kieran said it, they want to make a difference in people's lives and in their communities. Our faculty also have community experience. I worked for many years in community development work, started out as a Peace Corps volunteer and then worked in the US. And other faculty members have had a similar journey where they've combined academic work and hands-on community work. We're really hoping that as you combine this academic growth, these skills, and the hands-on working with the community partners, that you don't only grow in your knowledge and your understanding of things, you actually grow as a person. And we spend really a fair amount of time in our introductory course and in our capstone reflecting. We have reflective writing assignments. We encourage people to talk in class about their experience, to really bring their full selves to the program. At the same time, in the capstone, we're guiding and encouraging people to produce an intellectual product that benefits their intellectual development, their professional development, but also really serves the organization. So it's really different than a research project where you go out and study a community or study an organization and just hand your paper over to the person that you worked with. Here, the student and the organization, the staff of the organization, jointly design a project, because we want it to serve that community, to serve that organization, and to be implemented after the student finishes it up. So just to give a sense, of course, we've been on Zoom since halfway through last spring semester. But even with the constraints of Zoom, our students and faculty and community partners have managed to bond. And I should add that we combined the Zoom. We were really a hybrid model in our introductory course with some in-person gatherings in outdoor places, everybody 6 feet apart with their masks on in Baltimore. And that way, I think people got even a better chance to get to know each other. So this is still from a course we did last semester where our students were meeting both professional staff and volunteers from the Southwest Partnership in Baltimore. So you can see me and my co-teacher, Dr. Joby Taylor, is in the top middle square there. And then top left is the director of the Southwest Baltimore Partnership, the gentleman with the child, the gentleman with the Juice Lab shirt, they were the volunteers, and then everybody else is our students. So we had a lot of fun, that class. In the master's program, there are 5 required courses. Each course is 3 credits, except for the capstone, which is 6 credits. So you end up from the required courses with a total of 18 credits. And it includes 3 courses that we created: Introduction to Community Leadership, Legal and Ethical Issues in Community Leadership, and the capstone, which is the final piece. Then there are 2 courses that come out of Sociology and Public Policy. One is Research Methodology, where you take one or the other, Sociology or Public Policy. And then the second is Sociology 606, which is Social Inequality and Social Policy. It's really a great course and a great fit with our program. Then, in addition to the 18 required credits, you take 4 electives, totaling 12 credits. That's where the 30 comes from for the master's. And we have both provided some suggested pathways if they're in your field of interest, in urban studies, nonprofit, social sector, and social entrepreneurship. But we've also opened the door to designing a pathway. And to do that, we have a big list of elective courses, and you and I work together to identify a connected set of courses that would form your pathway. An example would be a student we have who is a journalist. For her pathway, instead of doing one of the top 3, she's doing a combination of urban studies and communications. And that fits her interests. So I really enjoy working with students on this to make sure that the program is fitting their interests. I'm just going to go back up, because the certificate courses, which you were thinking of, are all of these required courses except the legal and ethical issues. That's not required for the certificate, but the other 4 courses are. And I mean, you're probably taking notes, which is great, but all of this is on the website as well. So whatever works best. Maybe you know from when you looked into the public policy program, UMBC has a beautiful campus in Catonsville. And some of the courses are taught there, sociology, public policy, particularly, and any other elective courses. We teach our community leadership courses when we go back in person at the Lyon Brothers building, which is in Southwest Baltimore, not too far from the Hollins Market area, if you know where that is. It's a beautifully restored building. It used to be a factory, and now it houses UMBC art studios and a classroom, as well as a number of different nonprofit organizations. So it's a great facility for us. We can do community walks out of it because it's in a very kind of dynamic transitional neighborhood where there's a lot going on. So here are the admissions requirement. We ask for a bachelor's in any subject. We say we do prefer a minimum GPA of 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. However, we have made exceptions to that if a student can demonstrate that they've really applied themselves in other ways. So maybe somebody had a bad first 2 years of college, but really got on track the last 2 years. Maybe somebody was not a star in college, but has shown great focus and determination in a work setting. So there is some flexibility there. We ask for a resume and a goal statement. Really, what do you want to get out of the program? And an official transcript. That is really it. It's not an elaborate application. You can provide letters of references. I enjoy reading letters of references because it always gives me a little bit different additional perspective, but they are not required. And then there is a $50 online application fee. Here is for spring 2021. Karina may know more about whether this is going to change in fall of 2021, but for Maryland residents or people who live in this broader region, which includes parts of Virginia, parts of Pennsylvania, and Delaware, it's $6.98 per credit. It's significantly more if you're a non-Maryland resident, which is about $1,171 per credit. We are working out the details, but we are planning to offer needs-based scholarships. We have raised money for that. And then there are other financial aid and scholarship opportunities, which you can learn about through the financial aid office at UMBC. Karina, did you want to add anything to this? Okay, we'll keep going then.
Sorry, I can't get to my mute button.
That's no problem.
I have not heard if anything's changing yet regarding tuition and fees for fall 2021. But we keep Renee's the one who updates our website, so she'll have more information.
Okay.
I can let her know to keep us all updated.
That'd be great. Thank you. And then the students are expected to maintain a GPA of 3.0 during the course of study and to remain enrolled, but you are allowed to take up to 2 consecutive semesters with a leave of absence. And, you know, because of COVID, we've had people had to take at least 1 semester off. And then, you know, I think there are obviously rules about plagiarism and academic misconduct, and those are described in that policy document there. Okay, I am, okay, and here we have, Karina, does this still apply?
Yes, that is our fee waiver code for the next application cycle.
Wonderful. That's great. Well, I'm going to stop sharing at this point. Sonia is very studious, making lots of notes. So feel free to ask me any questions and unmute yourself.
As you were talking, I know I'm here for myself, but as I was listening, I thought I needed to have my daughter come down because she recently graduated. She has a bachelor's in sociology, and she is she has 2, sociology and dance, and her hope was to be involved in some community-based organization that uses dance as part of, she's thinking she may have to get, a further degree in psychology or something. So dance is part of therapy or treatment, or just as an outlet. So, but of course, everything that she had planned was, at graduation was, thrown into, they still don't know, like the company that she was working with, they don't know when they'll be, able to do anything. But I was thinking that she should maybe think of a program like this, because she wants to be in a community-based organization and with young people, but she's just fresh out of college. So
yeah, I would be happy to talk to her. I do think my sense is, and we're just in our 2nd year, is that the program works best if you've gotten some experience on the ground, kind of got a sense of, helps, people develop some professional skills, but also a sense of, what they're really interested in.
Right.
But that, that said, I'd be happy. You could just share my email with her if she's interested, and share the website with her, and I'd be happy to talk to her about that.
Okay. All right. And so are most students part-time in the program and then working full-time or something like that?
Yeah, definitely the majority are.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have, full-time's usually considered 3 courses, 9 credits.
Mhm.
We have relatively few. We have a couple of students who, because of the scholarships they're on, they are not working or not working full-time.
Mhm.
They're able to do the full-time studies, but that is
Okay.
just a handful. We have about 20 students now, and I think out of that 20, there may be 2 or 3 who are doing that. Pretty much everybody else is working. We offer our classes late afternoon and evening
Okay.
to work, to make it work for people's schedules. And, we understand that your community partnership, you're going to have to work around the challenges of work. In some cases, people are still raising their kids, whatever. So we understand that, but we do expect a lot. So it can be quite intense.
Mhm.
But that's why some people are only taking 1 course at a time.
Mhm.
That's what they can handle. Others 2, and then pretty much only the people who have the like sports scholarships or another scholarship do the 3
Mhm.
courses.
So, and do the classes, are they like, do they meet once a week for 3 hours, or is that what
Week
typically?
2.5, yeah.
Two
So
and a half.
courses I've taught would be from 4:30 to 7.
Mhm.
And then there's another slot to give you a whole 10-minute break from 7:10 to 9:40. I'd say feels like the great majority of courses are in the 4:30 to 7 slot. I think that's just more manageable for a lot of people.
Mhm.
We have a few that we have an entrepreneurship track. They tend to teach theirs in the 6 to 8:30 time frame. So there are a few variations.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No weekends for classes.
Oh, no. You might end up doing your homework on the weekend.
Right. Yeah.
No, no, I don't think our faculty would be too excited about that.
No.
It's
No.
important. It's important to have some time down,
Uh-huh.
some balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm.
if if you decide you are interested and want to talk to somebody in the program, I'm happy to. You could just email me that, and I'd be happy to set that up. Sometimes it's helpful to talk to somebody who's has similar interests or similar stage in life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and what is I think I saw the deadline for application for the fall, or for when are there different deadlines for like fall admission, spring?
Sure. Yeah, our fall admission is the deadline's August 1st. I advise people to apply earlier, simply because you know if there is a big rush at the end, um, I just don't get as much time with your application, and or to follow up with questions, that kind of thing. I think it's a better process if you apply earlier.
Mhm.
And we don't expect to fill up, but you never know. The earlier applications.
And the capstone projects, how do students find those? Or
Good question. Good question. So some people come in with groups that they're really interested in working with. They've already made that connection. Most do not. Most people are pretty fresh. So between myself and the co-teacher of the capstone, we have a lot of contacts, a lot of organizations that we know about or worked with. As I get to know you, and you express, what you're interested in and what kind of organization you'd like to work with, that helps me suggest to you I would always give students options, not just one organization, but a couple. And then it's up to them to contact the organization and decide which one they want to work with. And I'd say for the great majority of cases, that's worked out really well.
Mhm.
A lot of good organizations in and around Baltimore. And what really is good is if we know a specific person who works at that organization, and that could be your point of contact. We have 3 videos that are, I can't wait to post on our website. We just got them, which show they're jointly made videos with students and their community partners.
Okay.
But if you're interested in those, you can email me and I'll send them out.
Okay.
They're short as well, maybe a little longer than the video we want, not much, roughly 90 seconds, 2 minutes. And I think it gives a sense of that, the organizations really value the students and the students value the organization. It's a two-way street.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. And the one last question I had is, do people are people allowed to take classes within the program as like non-degree or non-certificate seeking, just taking a class?
Well, our core courses, no, because we really want to have people who are committed to the program to be taking them and have a sense, especially when they start out, of being in a cohort. So
Okay.
even if people go at different speeds, or some are certificate and some are masters, you've got a group of people that you get to know and that you can talk to or ask questions of. It's a good question. I'm not so sure about some of the other courses that are not part of our program. We are launching, and this is something to keep an eye out for. We are planning to launch this fall some 1-credit courses, which are going to be very targeted courses in specific areas. So you don't need a full semester, maybe 5 weeks, like a third of a semester. And those we do hope or plan to be open for non-credit students, because that would be a good gateway into the program. You could get for only 1 credit, which is not going to be really very expensive, you could get a real feel for the program and meet some of the other students too. Yeah. So I wish I could confirm that with you today. We've got some wonderful courses under development. We're just not able to make that public announcement yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Getting there. You ask good questions. Sometimes you do these sessions and they ask one question. I'm like, don't you've asked more than the group, so I really appreciate that.
Oh, sure. Well, I feel free since no one, I'm not, infringing on anyone else by asking my questions and that's also because that's when I'm taking notes. Like a question, just pops up.
Yeah. I'm a note taker too. It helps me think.
Yeah. That's what I tell my students. I try to encourage them to do it, but I think sometimes they just think I'm, old-fashioned or something.
They're used to the typing. So what do you teach?
I teach finance in
Wonderful.
yeah.
In a college setting?
Yeah, at Villanova, but I live my husband and I live here in Maryland. So I've lived here for so long, 20-something years now. So, I was a stay-at-home mom for a while, and trying to get back into the workforce, and to find an academic job is not an easy thing to do when you've been out of it for a while. You know, happy to get that opportunity to be at Villanova, but I'm tired of teaching finance. Want to do something that makes a difference for people. Yeah, so.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. That would be, and that's I mean, maybe not wanting to teach it anymore, but it's a great skill to have. Wherever you end up, it's a great skill.
Yeah, and I know a lot of community organizations could probably use some help in that area.
Oh, for sure.
I'm just hoping to be able to leverage some of that knowledge that I have. And I worked in banking for a while before, so you know, I kind of know a little bit about that whole thing. So I'm just trying to leverage that and do something that's more community based and kind of is, you know, change.
Well,
Change.
Great candidate.
Yeah.
I hope you take, you know, just take a look and see what you think and ask any additional questions that come up.
Okay, I will. I have a lot to process. You know, because like I said, I did originally apply for the master's program in policy. Talked to some people there, and they're like, "Well, why don't you explore some of these things? Because it is a significant investment in time and money. If I don't need to do the whole master's program to get to where I want to be, you know, I just want to explore that before. You know.
Sure.
She makes I've never, you know, she was like, I'm not trying to talk you out of getting a master's, but I'm just, you know, saying that you might not need to.
Yeah. No, I think that, you know, it all depends what you want and what you enjoy. But I do think, you know, with our certificate, both in the introductory class and the capstone, you do significant community partnerships, and that I think that is a good bridge for seeing how your skills apply to these kinds of organizations.
Yeah.
That would be a good fit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was applying for the job at Villanova, I had to submit my transcript, and when I submitted my college transcript, I was reading through it, and I was like, how did I end up in finance? Because I had sociology, urban studies, political science, and all these other classes. And I was like, how did I end up in business school in finance? And so it just kind of made me think about what I was really interested in when I was, you know, really just getting started thinking I could change the world. And you know, it's like, well, you're not too old to do anything as long as you wake up and you take a breath, right?
Definitely. Yeah, and we actually have a student who studied and worked in finance. Actually, Karen, who was in the video, was going to be our first graduate, worked in the private sector in finance, and it just wasn't satisfying her anymore. She shifted over to our program, and she has already changed jobs, I think, as part as a result of realizing what she really enjoys doing.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, it's a way to take a little bit of that step back and say, you know, what do I really value, and how can I apply the skills in a different way? So, yeah. Well, good. Well, I enjoyed talking to you.
I enjoyed talking to you too. Thank you so much, Karina. And
You're welcome.
Scott.
Thank you for joining us. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. And yeah, definitely happy to follow up by email.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Have a nice
Have a great evening.
You
Have a good
too.
night.